I'm doing everything African. We've got the African dancers. We're doing the Ottawa dance. Like everything is from Ghana.
Yeah.
And then we get to the hair, and it's like, Precious, you need to do this white hairstyle. It's like, huh?
It's like the family friends or the people that you haven't seen since you're little. Oh, you're so grown up now. Oh, look at all the gray hairs. Why don't you dye it? Do you have a boyfriend yet? You should dye your hair. Maybe you'll have a boyfriend if you dye.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. As you can see, we are in a different setup again today. We're actually in my kitchen, and I am very excited to have a special guest with me today. This is my little sister, Patience.
Hey.
Patience and Precious, I know. And we are going to be having a hair chat today, similar to what you've seen in the past with Corley Diaries, with the Vaughn sisters. It's going to be like that. So yeah, let's just get right into it, shall we?
Sounds good. All right.
So growing up, obviously, I know the answer because I lived with you, but to our viewers, how would you say you would typically wear your hair?
Well, growing up, for me, my hair, it would be whatever mom would put our hair in. A lot of the times she would perm our hair. I remember like the pink lotion a lot, and I'd get the bows and like the little like twist with the little like, do you remember like those little like the hair ties that had like those big obnoxious like plastic balls? And like she put on it snaps so like super loud. They'd always be clinking all the time. Like that's what it was. And then I think it was once we hit middle school, because I was like, I don't know if I should still be rocking like this hairstyle once I go to middle school, because I felt like, I'm getting older now. So maybe I should have like I started to question, like, why isn't my hair like straight like the other kids, like wearing it down that way instead of just like having it in bows. So I remember I looked at mom one time and I was like, can I like not do that style anymore? Like, can I just try something different? She was like, okay. So that's when I tried to do the whole, like, I wanted my hair to be super straight like the other girls, but then I'm like, if it rains, it's gonna like shrivel up. So it's not the same. But then more so in high school when I started track and I noticed like I'm working out more, my hair is getting super frizzier sooner. That's when I was like, okay, I kind of want to do something different. So it's not a constant like, frizzy at the roots and then it's just the perm straight hair, because we were still perming our hair at that time. So like
Quick pause.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that? So perming of the hair. Do you remember how old you were when mom first permed your hair?
Honestly, I think I remember getting perms at like 4.
Real 4?
I do.
Really?
We were in the old house. I remember that because I remember I'd be on the floor crying because it burned so bad, and we'd have to sit there and let it like sit in our hair to the point where like our scalp is like literally starting to like blister at points. I remember that. Like once I saw the pink lotion and like the Vaseline and the perm, I was like, oh, I know what's about to happen, because you get the Vaseline thing right here. And then we'd sit there and we're crying in pain. But the minute like we wash it out, we're like, oh my goodness. Like at the time we were like thinking, oh, this is really cool. Like our hair is like really pretty. It looks like the girls on the boxes, like the kitty perm and all of that. So I'm like, oh my goodness, my hair's gonna look just like that. And it did. It looked just like that. So part of me was like, oh, like this kind of hurts, but I like that my hair looks straight because that's what I'm seeing on the box. But like growing up where we grew up, there weren't a lot of kids that looked like us. And the hair type that you're seeing is this straight, so you just want to fit in with everybody else.
Yeah. I know in my grade, I think I think my class had like maybe 150. I might be making that number up, but maybe in the hundreds.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure I was like one of 3 black kids. I don't
Same.
remember with yours. Was yours a bit more diverse? We're 6 years apart, by the way.
Yeah.
So we weren't ever in school at the exact same time.
We were in elementary.
We were?
Yep, I was in kindergarten. You were.
Oh, yes.
You were in 6th grade. Yep,
You're
I tried
right.
to go up to you in the hallway. And everyone's like, oh my goodness, your sister's so cute. And you're like, yeah.
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 Pretty much.
Our mom
That sounds accurate.
our mom would also get us matching outfits, so it was a good old dots. It was not fun when your kindergarten sister's wearing the same outfit as you.
Yeah, no, it's believe it or not, it's not a vibe.
No, it was not. It was not.
Anyways, so mom relaxed your hair.
Yeah, like
starting at age 4,
Yeah,
as
but-
far as you can recall.
yeah, not if not 4, then definitely 5. We were still in the old house. I remember that.
And you're saying that your grade, your class was also equally not very diverse.
No, we had like about 200 kids in my class. It was probably one of 4 black girls. Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah, and I think 2 or 3 of, actually, yeah, about 2 of them, they might have been like mixed race as well. So of course, like the hair type, it's gonna be different. So
Do you
yeah.
ever remember any experiences that you had when it comes to interactions with your friends, with those other kids, as it pertains to your hair type?
Yeah, I remember. So I remember we had a class trip. Oh my goodness, I don't remember the name of the place, but it's like a local beach by us, and we had like a class day there. I think it was like the 5th or 6th grade, and of course everyone's jumping in the water, and you pop up, and they're like, "What happened to your hair?" And I'm just thinking, I'm like, "Wait, what?" So I'm trying to figure out, and then I can feel like, oh, everything is straight down here because the perm, but then the roots, they're super. So then your hair is like this, and then the rest just like. And then that's when I was like, oh no, and then other people are noticing it, and like, and not to be like mocking, but they're like curious. And then if there are other kids that like, they kind of look like you, or they do look like you, like that diverse, they're like, kind of give me the, like the look like a,
Secondhand embarrassment.
not even secondhand embarrassment, but it's like one of those like, do you see your hair right now? Like don't. So then once you're feeling that and you're seeing that, then it's like, for me, it makes me not want to go back in the water in front of you guys, because like you come out the water and your hair is just like super down straight, like no problem, like you somewhat look the same. But then for me, I already know that I don't look like you, and then now on top of it, I'm going through this water, getting my hair wet process, and for me, that's like a low. That's gonna like knock my self-esteem down a little bit, because you're gonna stare at me even more differently now.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's true. It stinks because I definitely had experiences like that as well growing up surrounding water.
Yeah.
And something that is supposed to just be like a regular fun activity of swimming,
Yeah.
it becomes this thing where you change your lifestyle, or you're not as open or comfortable doing certain things because you don't want to risk your hair. And it's like, it's just annoying. In hindsight, I wish that we had maybe just done braids or done things, you know, where our hair was still protected, so that if we got into the water, it didn't matter.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that's why braids are such a great vacation, summertime hairstyle, because it allows you to not worry about shrinkage and tangling and all that garbage. But
Yeah.
yeah, definitely understand that. So at what point did you even decide to go natural? I don't remember that. But I remember you having permed, what I considered permed, like thick, long hair. When did you decide to go natural?
Well, I had a tiny taste of that in the 2nd grade, where I decided to cut all of the hair off on the back of my head. I don't know if you remember.
Yes.
Yeah, that was bad. But even, I think it was to the point of high school. It was in my senior year. And I remember just like looking at my hair, and I was just so over the permed hair. Like, it was just getting to a point where I was like, I just want to know what it looks like or what it feels like just to have like natural hair. So I remember like one day, because I used to like do the thing where I'm like, oh, I'm going to stretch my hair out, and I'm just going to like snip the ends and whatever. And then I ended up just being like, nope, I think I cut like at least like 6 or 7 inches off one day in the bathroom. I cut until I didn't see the straight hair really anymore. So I was left with like a mini mohawk. So I was rocking like a mini mohawk basically almost all of like senior year, and I loved it so much.
Really? Do you have any pictures?
Oh,
I'm not asking you to
okay.
I'm just saying in general, do you have any pictures?
Oh yeah. But the thing about that, because I was also seeing other people, and it stinks now thinking about it, but when I was looking at how can I like look at the mini mohawk, I was looking at mini mohawks from what we'd see in magazines. So it's not girls that look like us. So then I'm thinking, how can I rock this? Because I don't want an afro like mini mohawk thing. And I'm like, oh man, I just cut all this hair off because I don't want to have to deal with like the permed hair anymore. But now these pictures are showing me really cute styles, but for people with straight hair. And I'm like, oh, we just got a straightener in the house. I could just straighten it. So then it's like I just did all this just to cut my straight hair off to get the natural hair, just to have to use a straightener to straighten my hair all over again. So I did it, and it looked really nice, and I ended up liking the style. But then I kind of got mad at myself in the end because I'm like, wait, I just did all of this like just to re-straighten my hair all over again, and like I wanted my hair to feel natural and healthy, and now it's all snapping off because I keep straightening it every single day because it's getting so frizzy, and because we grew up with our hair being permed all the time. It's like I didn't know how to maintain my natural hair at that time.
You had a little mini mohawk, but because you were comparing it to the people in the magazine, you still thought it needed to be a straight mini mohawk, not like a fro mini mohawk. I see. Okay.
Yeah, so that's what I was doing. I just kept straightening, and then it got to a point where I'd been straightening my hair, if not every day, every other day, and then I just noticed I'm like, my hair's getting shorter and shorter and shorter because it was snapping, because I didn't know how to maintain natural hair at that point. So I just was like, whatever, I'll just keep doing it, and I did it. And then my hair was growing out, but I didn't know how to maintain the natural hair. And then it wasn't until I got to college where I was doing sports in college, and I'm like, okay, like I need to figure something out with my hair now. So that's when Auntie, she told me she could braid my hair. So that's when I just started doing braids, was in college. And that's just what I did. I was like, well, I don't know what else to do with the hair, so let's help it at least to grow and stay protected. I don't have to always put my fingers in it because I don't know what to do with it in the first place anyways. So I just did braids like ever since then. Like I would just do braids like get it switched out probably every like 2.5 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so was it always Auntie that was braiding your hair, or did you ever start? Because I know now you braid your own hair. Like I do. When did you start? When did you learn how to do your own hair?
Oh man, I laugh because I feel bad because Auntie, she hurt her finger. I think it's for one of someone's weddings she was doing, and she cut her finger really badly because she was prepping for it, and she kept apologizing. She's like, I'm so sorry, like, you know, I can't do your hair, but maybe we can find someone else to do it. So she gave the connection to another person. And the person that did my hair, she did a really nice job, but you know our people when it comes to braiding. We like braid really tight.
By our people, she means Africans.
Yes, because we're Ghanaian, so yeah.
Yeah, they don't mess around.
No, they don't. They do not. And she did a really nice job, but she braided the side of my head so tight to the point where like a whole entire, like maybe the size of a quarter, that whole entire area, the hair follicles were lifted out of my scalp, all within the same day, and my head was bleeding. So I was like, oh no, I can't. So I sat in that chair for like probably almost 10 hours getting the hair done because she did a really nice style. Like there were these really nice twists. They were almost all the way to the ground. They were really, really nice, but they were super heavy. And then once I saw that, and I'm like, no, my head is bleeding. Like I've never experienced anything. So I had to take it down immediately. I took the hair down in less than 24 hours. And after that, I was like, I need to learn how to teach myself. And then unfortunately, I was left with a bald spot because of that situation. So then that's when I was like, there has to be a way that I can still do these styles, but I can be softer. Because I feel like growing up, like there's always that like reputation, like, you know, like African braid, like it's just very tight, you know, or you see the pictures, it's like, oh, when you get your hair braided so tight, or you're getting your hair done so tight, you pull like 4 inches out of your scalp sort of thing, you know? So I was like, this can't be the narrative that we continue to run with. Like we should be able to do this, you know, to a point where it shouldn't be this bad. And Auntie was really nice. Like she was very like, always like gentle, on the hair too. And still made sure she got every single hair. And I was like, how can I do this like her? So I would always try to watch videos, and it took me a while, but then I eventually got it one day, like after practicing and trying to remember, like, what did it feel like when she was doing it on my head? And I would try to maneuver and figure things out. And then one day I eventually learned how to do it, but it took me like 2 days to braid my hair for the first time. It was it was a long experience. But now I can get my hair done. I can braid my hair in under 5 hours by myself, which that's not bad at all. But that's really how it started.
Awesome. I feel like learning how to do your own hair as a Black woman is such a huge advantage, especially with today's inflation prices. What braiders are charging is ridiculous.
Yep.
Not even just to braid your hair. I saw a TikTok the other day. Maybe I'll make a response video. No, it wasn't TikTok. It was on Instagram. Whatever. It was a video.
Yep.
And it was talking about charging a mom $750 just to wash her daughter's hair. And she said if your hair is high density and your hair and your child is tender-headed, it's an extra $150 like per issue. Like, it's crazy. But the sad thing is, Black women, we spend the most amount of money when it comes to hair care in the country. So of course, Black women, we care about our hair. We care about maintaining our hair. So other women who do our hair know that. And I just feel like it feels a little bit like a shakedown, because they're probably looking at it as, you're either going to accept these prices or you're going to walk out of the salon looking crazy. Which one do you want? You want your hair done, or you want to look crazy? And so most people, if they don't know how to do their hair, then it's, I have to pay these astronomical prices. And I get it, people are trying to make a living, but I mean, come on, $750 for
a
like
wash.
a wash and go?
No.
Actually, I'm sorry, it wasn't a wash and go, it was a silk press. A silk press on a child, she's gonna go and play recess and have that thing fluff up anyways. Like,
what's the point?
I don't know. I don't know.
At the point, just do it at home for your kid.
I don't know, man. We live in crazy times. We live in crazy times. But anyway, so the ability to learn how to do your own hair, it just, I think it can be a very empowering thing that, not that I'm trying to tell anyone what to do, but as someone who, you know, hopes to have children one day, that's going to be something that I'm going to work very hard to instill in them from a young age, is learn how to do your own hair in a way that maintains your healthy hair, so you don't have experiences like what you're talking about of people pulling out your hair, because at the end of the day, no one is ever going to take the time and the care that you would with your hair. And I don't blame them. I mean, they've got a number of clients that they have to get in and out of that chair in one day. They're not going to spend 8 hours putting in your mini twist like I would. I'm impressed that you can do braids in less than 5 hours, because mine, it takes me much longer than that. So you mentioned how you started to do the little mini mohawk, and then you were doing braids throughout college. I don't remember, maybe you were. Were you wearing your natural hair out as well during college? Or when did you start to wear your natural hair out more? I feel like I've seen that maybe more recently in the past few years.
Yeah, I mean, I've been trying to wear it more out, I want to say like after college, because in college, we would have practice sometimes like 2 days, like 2 times a day, I should say. So it's like for me to try to even wear my hair out, like I'm always working out, like it was just constant working out, and it would just frizz up so much. So that's why I was like, you know what, let me just leave it in braids, and I'm like going to classes and doing like my on-campus job, as well as doing like everything from like morning to night. I don't have time to like try to do anything really with my hair like that. So that's really what I was doing. But once I graduated, that's when I started wearing my hair out more naturally, because I was like, now I have more time to try to maybe like dedicate a little bit more care into my hair. So that's when I was like, you know what, let me see what I can do with it. And then I noticed like, wow, my hair has actually grown since that like mini mohawk stage, because once I was done with high school, I just went straight into the braids. So I never really even addressed the whole hair care bit. And I had a hiccup like one time when I came home, I think it was my junior year. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to perm my hair. I never should have done it. I permed it one time.
This was junior year of college? Oh.
And it was crazy because I washed my hair. I don't remember why I did it, but I washed my hair the night before, and I did a really nice like wash and go everything. Like that's the softest like that I'd ever felt my hair. Like my hair felt so healthy, and I don't know why I permed it. I think it was for some event think some family thing. And I just permed it because I was like, you know what, I can just do this, and then maybe I can like get a wig, then just do like the open style, like, you know, the wigs, you know.
Oh,
And
yeah, I remember you used to do those a
yeah,
lot, like the U-part wigs.
the U-part wigs, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I completely forgot that I even did, yeah, because I used to do some wigs in high school, and then some of the what's it called? Oh my goodness.
Closures?
No. Oh my goodness. This is back in the day when the hair glue was a thing. Do you
Lace
remember?
wigs?
No. So you'd get the tracks. You could get like the
Oh,
you know what I'm talking
yeah,
about? We go to Sally's
the
all the
black
time
glue.
and get the black glue. I used to do that in high
Yeah,
school.
I used to do that a lot.
Yep. Because I
Forgot
was
about that.
yeah. So
That
I
was bad on the
that
hair.
was
I
bad.
ripped out so much hair. And they would give you the shampoo, like, oh,
Yeah.
the shampoo's going to dissolve. It did not
No,
dissolve.
it didn't.
It did not. And I would look at the track and I'm like, that's all my hair. That's, that's my hair that is now on the track. Sure, let me apply this next patch to it and keep doing this and pretend like it's not ripping out all my hair.
It was bad. It was
it's
bad.
crazy.
I forgot about that. So yeah, I did that, and then yeah, so that's when I was like, oh snap! I never actually checked to see like how is my hair doing, and then I did the perm, and I regretted it the minute I put it in my hair. I was like, too late. I can't go back now. So and then once I did, I was like, yeah, my hair is kind of straight, but I miss the way how it felt. So then I let the hair grow out, and over time, I didn't do a big chop. I wanted to, but then I was like, I don't know if I like just shave my head bald and I wake up the next day and I'm like, oh,
Regret it.
yep. So then over time, I just gradually like would just trim all of the permed hair that I would see, and then I never did a perm ever again.
Dang. Okay.
Yeah.
And so you've been fully natural for how many years now?
Oh wow, maybe going on 7 or 8 years now. It's been an up and down relationship because, as I said before, my schedule was so just busy and all over the place, and I went from being this constant like on the go. I can't, I can't really do much with my hair, and then I like found myself like straight into a job like right after I graduated, and I still was like, okay, now I have to like manage like what I'm gonna do now being an adult. How do I fit in the hair care routine? I've got a little bit of time now, let me try to slide that in. And now I'm like, okay, maybe it's just easier for me to do the braids, just stick with the braids because I did it all through college and I don't have to really do too much work outside of that. So then I just kept doing that. And then I found that my hair was growing, but again, with the whole being on the go all the time, when name is patience and you need to learn to be more patient with things, in the process I learned that I wasn't patient with my hair, and I'm still trying to learn to be patient now. Because I think back to maybe it was a couple of years ago, when you showed me like your hair care routine, and you yes, I was in Sister Precious salon for the day, so she did her whole little hair stuff in her kitchen sink and all of that, and she showed me all these different things, and then I was finally able to see the whole look in the mirror at the end of the day, and I was like, oh snap! Like
That's right. I still have those photos.
Yeah, it was nice. Like that at that point, that was when my hair was like really like whoo. It was nice, and then I've noticed it's not as long as it was at that time anymore, because again, I've just put myself back into like a rush sort of like lifestyle. So it's like if I'm always rushing, then it's like, okay, I need the hair to dry. What am I gonna do? I know the blow dryer brush, I need to let it go.
Blow dryer brush, my heart.
I know.
Why do you do these things?
I know. And that's the crazy part is like Precious at one point she told me, she was like, I'm not gonna tell you what to do. It's your hair. You can do whatever you want. I'm just saying, like, I don't know if you should use the blow dryer brush because that's a lot of manipulation. But again, it's your hair. It's your hair. You can do whatever you want. And I was like, you're right. I know it's a lot of. And like I went from like using it like every single time that I did like a wash to like thinking like, remember how she said this whole manipulation thing? It's a lot. I'm like, oh snap, that's a lot of hair in the trash. She right. Let me stop. So then I would stop. But then still I would rush when it came to the detangling bit, So then I'm like, okay, like I have a day off right here. Let me let me do the, the okra and like the juice and like use it and it worked. And I'm like, okay, this is great. And it's like, I don't know how many days I'm going to get like this though. So then I would like try to work on doing the twist and like letting it dry and following the routine. And then life gets busy again. And then as you're going through this, you look in the corner and you just see like that blow dryer brush just like...
Throw it away. Put it in the trash.
I know. So I found myself using it a few more times again, and I'm like, yeah, this thing is like nice. And then Sister Precious again was very nice to get a Rev for me for Christmas. So I was like, okay, now I have no excuse to use this brush anymore.
No excuses.
No excuse anymore. So then I tried to work on how to use that thing, and then I used it, but then I'm like, oh, but my hair still feels detangled. Oh, look at the time. And then again, the brush is right there. And here we are 2 years later. It feels like I probably could be like inches longer, which I did a little stretch test the other day, and my hair now, like, even though it looks short now because I just did a twist out, but it's past my armpits. It's like down here. So it's long, but I'm also like, it's not as full as it used to be. It could be like probably, I won't say the middle of my back, but it could be close to that. Like it could just be more healthier if I just gave it more time.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate your self-awareness.
Jeez. I can, the whole sister thing, I can feel her in her head saying, I told you so. So
I am doing everything in my power to not say I told you so.
I promise. In the comments, you're going to say we could feel it too. It's all right.
I'm doing my best. I'm holding it in. I'm trying. But no, I honestly appreciate your self-awareness because one thing that I think, especially as being an influencer, which I hate that term, but whatever, it is what it is. I think that there can be this facade, like we've got it all figured out. We never have any setbacks. We never do anything bad. And that's it. That couldn't be further from the truth. That's not true. Even if you know that you're supposed to do something to your hair, it doesn't mean that you always do that thing perfectly to your hair, myself included. Yeah. There are times when I can feel in my hair like, Precious, you're not being patient enough. I can feel you're doing too much breakage, or you just did those twists a week ago. Why are you taking them out? Like, there are things that I do all the time that are not good. But I feel like overall our hair care routine is, if you have more healthy hair practices than you do unhealthy hair practices, then you should get the result that you're looking for. But it's a journey. Yeah. So we're all at different points in our journey. And I think that life is one of the biggest factors when it comes to maintaining our hair. But I do think that some of the things that you mentioned with, like, maybe you go to wash your hair and you feel like you have to blow dry, you have to do this. I don't think that you have to do some of those things as frequently as you think that you have to do them. Like, how often would you say you typically do the blow dryer brush thing now? Or like, how often would you say you do twist outs and wash days, things like that? Honestly,
I only do it when it's time for me to either put braids in or I'm taking my braids out. And I've been trying to do a better job too when I take my, like, whatever, like, protective style I have in. I'm trying to do a better job of, like, letting my natural hair just breathe and not, like, rush into another style like immediately after, because that's something that I also have noticed too. Like, even though it is protective, the minute you're taking it down and it's time for you to wash or detangle, like, you're just manipulating it and you're rushing all over again just to put another style into it. And it was getting to a point where I was literally just changing my hair every single month. And it's like, cool, like, I've spent 30 days not touching my hair, but at the same time, like, what did I do to actually, like, help maintain the growth that I just had? And, like, actually letting my hair breathe. And I noticed, especially for my edges, like, it messed with my edges so bad because of the constant manipulation. That was the most sensitive part, and that's, like, growing back now, and I feel like even the gray hairs, they kicked in reserve because of how much hair, like, with how much of the constant, like, in the breaking, and it's just trying to breathe, and it's just trying to rest, and I'm not letting it rest sometimes because I'm always thinking, I'm on the go, I have to do something, I have to put it up, I have to, like, maintain, like, something so at least it feels protected. But at the same time, like, if I'm not putting in the amount of effort in the care, and like even just the letting it sit out and like not freaking out when it's raining and it's gonna frizz, you know, like not being on the clock or racing to do something with it. Like I need to realize at the same time, like that's okay to let it just do its thing and be hair.
Yeah, yeah. I think the thing with protective styles, some of you guys may have heard this before because I mentioned it in other videos, is the way you put in the protective style and the way you take out the protective style, in my opinion, are the most important parts of protective styling.
Absolutely.
Because that's when the most amount of breakage will happen. So like you said, even if you have your hair put away for 30 days and you should be getting some length retention, if you then do the heat blow brush or whatever you call it, the evil thing that we will not refer to any further, then it takes away all of the progress that you probably just made in that month.
Exactly.
One thing I would agree with Mom about that I'm sure other people can relate to is you have to take time for yourself. Because a lot of this rushing around and like you have to go here, you have to go there, it ends up to the point where you are stretching yourself so thin that you sacrifice yourself. And I think that while it can be annoying and our hair can be very high maintenance at times to take care of it, I try to brainwash myself to look at it as self-care. So I would encourage you to try to set more time aside for yourself, because I think it would be a more enjoyable process then for you if you didn't feel like you had your back against the wall and were trying to rush to do stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm just a big sister.
Oh,
do with that information what you will. I can't tell you what to do. I'll just, bring this back up in 5 years. I mean, I haven't lectured you about this in at least 5 years. Am I wrong?
Just hence why she said, well, I'll bring this up again in 5 years.
Yeah, in 5 years. I think one good, healthy lecture every 5 years is good. So
yes.
In 5 years, we'll bring up the hair routine again. But now you've...
Tune in 5 years from now to see where we stand.
Yeah, to be continued. But I still think what you've been able to do with your hair is great. And I mean, you mentioned that your hair is past your armpits now. Us growing up as kids,
it didn't go past our eyebrows.
Literally, yeah. Like if it even got to our shoulders, that was amazing.
Yeah.
That would only happen after we just got a fresh relaxer, and then that was about to be gone in 2.5 weeks. So I don't think that you should be too hard on yourself for where you're at with your hair currently.
I remember when we were kids, I would try to put my hair in a ponytail like the other girls, but because our hair would break so much from the perms, you'd be left with like this ponytail the size of like your thumb, and it's like looks like a little thumbtack on the back of your head. Yeah. But that was the thing. It's like, hey, this is what I've got for growth. But I just stop and think about that as kids growing up. Like it didn't go past like here, and like you said, if it got to here, then that's like, whoo.
Yeah, we were not in an environment where we saw other people with natural hair, so this is all self-taught trial and error. So I think that we both have been able to do a good job with the information that we had available to us. And again, it's all a journey. Yeah, it's all a journey. Something else that I wanted to bring up that you just touched upon, your gray hair. So in our family, it is hereditary that a lot of people in our family have, what is it called? Premature gray? What do you call it?
I don't know.
I don't know what it's called.
It's like a gray patch.
A lot of people in our family on my mom's side will have like a gray patch of hair, typically towards the front. Yeah. And it will usually start to show up early, like when you were a teenager.
I got my first gray hair when I was 5.
Okay, apparently Paige got her first gray hair when she was 5. I don't recall this. I don't remember things before the age of like 12. So whatever. But yeah, I remember growing up, you've always had that.
Always had gray hair.
I've always thought that was cool. I actually wish I had that because I love cartoons, and I remember Rogue and X-Men having that patch, and I thought she was like the most beautiful little mutant of all time. And so if I had a gray, like I would be rocking the heck out of my gray patch. I would feel so cool. But anyways, I know that that is something that a lot of people experience that I think a lot of people don't talk about. And like all things, I think that representation is important. So how did you feel growing up with, being a kid and thinking that you get gray hairs when you're like in your 80s, but you're apparently getting them, when you're 5? And
Yeah, that was bad.
how did you feel about that?
So the gray hair that came when I was 5, it was in my eyebrow. And I remember we were in the old house. I just finished like taking a shower and I just looked in the mirror and I was like freaking out because I was looking in the mirror. I'm like, what is that? What is it? And I saw like this white hair sprouting out of my eyebrow. And I remember seeing like, I'm like, how do I get rid of this? Like, how am I supposed to like this is not like this isn't good. And all I remember seeing is like, oh, growing up seeing like dad, he would shave his like beard, or like if people shave their legs, I'm like, oh, where's a razor? So I found the razor in a drawer and I thought I could use it to like just go around and like cut it out. I cut half my eyebrow off.
Dang.
Yeah. So I was walking around with half an eyebrow for like a month and a half. It was bad. So then I was like, okay, I'm not doing that again. But I think it was more towards maybe middle school that I noticed that the hairs were coming in. But I wasn't that affected by it because at that time I was getting sew-ins. I remember Auntie would do, so it's like at the time I didn't think much of it because I'm like, I don't care, like no one's gonna see it anyways. But I noticed, I'm like, dang, these are kind of coming in, like they're sprouting out. But I'm like, I keep my hair like under wraps anyway. So it wasn't until I did the mohawk bits where I realized, and even in the pictures too, you could start to see like the gray hairs sprouting a little bit.
Yeah.
So that's when I kind of started to get a little like self-conscious. Let's say the word.
Yeah.
But because I'm thinking, I'm like, nobody else has this, and whenever you see gray hair, like people are they're assuming you're old. Like, so I was like, oh no, like people are gonna call me old. Like maybe I should just dye my hair. Like I don't know. So then I just noticed like they just kept sprouting and sprouting and sprouting, and the more we'd be around family, they'd even point it out too. They'd be like, hey, gray hair, what? Like they're so like they would just be very, and then mom, she would be like, oh boy, you're getting the gray hairs just like I did when I was your age. And I'm like, what? And that's when I found out that it was hereditary in our family.
Yeah.
And she said when she was my age, she said half of her head was gray.
Yeah.
So I didn't believe, and then once she said that, I was like, oh snap, like half my head's gonna be gray too. And then now I have like a whole like gray patch right in the middle. And it wasn't until seeing grandpa's picture last year on her side where it was a black and white picture, and I just remember seeing this huge white patch right there, and I'm like, that's where I get this from. Because his is all the way right here and mine is directly in the center. It's like
it looks so cool. Like, it really looks like he went into a barber shop and someone like, let me just dye this one little patch, right? Like I think it looks really freaking cool. But anyways.
No, I mean now I'm older. I'm learning to embrace it, and I like how it's now come in, because before it was just very sporadic. So I was like, oh, maybe it's just in the front. But then I'm doing my hair and I'm looking in the bathroom and I could see like the mirror behind, and I'm like, there are gray hairs everywhere. And then and then I'm like, maybe it's because I'm stressed. Like they're just coming out, because people say with stress, like you get more gray hairs. And I remember I was like running around doing all the work, so I was just always all over the place. I'm like, no, that's it. But now like they've officially just come in to the point where now in the front it's just this hole, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna embrace it. Like that's totally fine. And then at one point I'm like, maybe I should just dye it, because I want to like get like the, like how your hair is like all like one color right now. I'm like, I kind of miss that feeling. Like, because part of me is like, oh, maybe it'll make me like look younger or whatever. Like, I don't know. And I was about to do it, and I remember I got the dye off of Amazon. Mom looked at me and she was like, if I were you, I wouldn't do it. And I was like, why? And she was like, once you dye it, you're going to have to keep re-dyeing it. It's going to change the color. It might turn brown. And I was like, ew, like I don't want that. Because that's so like, you're like, I was already saying about the schedule, I'm like, I don't got the time to keep re-dyeing, like it's too much. So and after that I was like, no, I'm just gonna embrace it the way that it is. People always point out my gray hairs all the time.
People are so people make me so mad. Like, do people think that like people don't have mirrors in their house? Like she doesn't know she has gray hairs? We don't need your opinion.
Yeah, and it's a mixture. Like I find that the people our age, like they're like really like, they embrace it. They think it's so cool. Like I've seen people in my grade as well. Like they are full gray now.
Really?
Yeah.
Fully.
Like some of them embraced it and they just went bam, full on gray hair, and there are others that are actually just gray hair now. Which I think, I'm like, dang, like that's so cool. Like I'm thinking like maybe one day like I'll get to that point. Like I don't know. Lord, not yet. But
If the Lord wills it.
yes. not yet though, because we're good with this. We're working with this. But I've found the older generation, I've had a lot of comments from the older generation mixed. More of like, oh, wow, like, look at you, gray hairs. That means wisdom, wise beyond your years. Or you'll get some people that'll say, you should probably dye your hair.
No way.
Sometimes it's like the family friends or the people that you haven't seen since you're little. Oh, you're so grown up now. Oh, look at all the gray hairs. Why don't you dye it? Do you have a boyfriend yet? You should dye your hair. Maybe you'll have a boyfriend if you dye. You see, they're like, you can't be looking so old.
Wow.
Yeah, those are the comments.
I don't know. I'm saying wow. I shouldn't be surprised.
No, we shouldn't be. But after that, part of me is like, you know what? Just because of that, I'm gonna keep rocking this even more.
Good for you.
Yep. So the day this is here, I'm gonna be bam on the wedding day with the whole gray hairs and everything out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, good for you. I think that you have taken it and you've rocked it. Other people would have been like, oh my God, my hair is turning gray. I'm not going to leave the house. But you haven't. Like, you've just accepted that. And I think that is a huge testament to, like, your inner strength and, again, self-awareness, because people don't typically like to look different than other people. That's a struggle. Again, I wish I could have inherited that gene, because I would have been quite excited to be rogue.
I can give you some of mine if you'd like.
Yeah, if you transfer it over, I would appreciate that. Speaking of weddings, so obviously I got married a couple years ago. You were there, so I'm sure you remember.
Oh, yes. No, wedding. What?
Patience was my maid of honor for my wedding.
Yes, it was.
I'll make sure to insert some pictures.
Yes.
But what I remember that I one of my favorite stories or favorite memories about my wedding as it pertains to you is you were initially going to wear a wig. Now, let me be clear. I don't have anything against wigs, okay? I used to be a wig queen. However, I do feel that sometimes people treat wigs like, okay, if I'm going to a nice event, it's time to put on the wig. Like, the wig is the nicest representation of what your hair could be. That's when I'm like, I don't really like the wig, because I don't like the idea that something else, something fake, something synthetic, or someone else's hair is nicer than my own hair for a nice event. I rebuke all that. So for my wedding, Patience had this wig, and I remember her coming into the room when we were about to get changed, and she said to, like, I think it was me, my mom, and the rest of my bridesmaids, and she was like, yeah, like, should I wear this wig? And you put it on, and I was just like,
no.
It's a no for me, dog.
Yeah.
It's a no. It's not that it was ugly.
No.
But it wasn't you.
No.
It wasn't you. Like,
me.
it didn't. I remember saying, like, I know this is very last minute, and I know you've planned to wear this wig, and obviously do whatever you want to do, whatever makes you feel comfortable, but I've seen your natural hair. Like, I'm looking at your natural hair right now. I think it would look better if you were to just wear your natural hair. And so you ended up just wearing your natural hair, even though you hadn't planned to.
No.
Last minute for the wedding. And I thought it looked beautiful, like the way that you styled it. I think you had, like, you put some pins in it or accessories.
That was all you.
That was me?
Yeah.
Oh, I remember. That day was a blur.
It was. Well, because, like she said, like, that wig, I remember we got the makeup done, and I just remember looking at myself in the mirror, and I'm like, this ain't it. But then I went into the room asking them their opinion, because part of me is thinking, like, okay, I never really get my makeup done like that, and like, it's when maybe I'm just like, I'm kind of like over panicking. It's not that big of a deal, and then I'm telling everyone in the room, and everyone in the room is just like staring at me, and then that's when Precious was like, I'm not trying to tell you what to do.
Someone had to Keep it real. Somebody had to say it.
Yep. And then she was trying to say like, hey, like you don't need the wig. And at first I thought it was the makeup. And I remember I still feel bad because once the girls finished and I went to like, I saw the final look and I'm like, it's the makeup. I don't wear makeup like this, like da 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 da. And even like the makeup artists are just there, just like with their palettes trying to figure out like what to do. And that's when Precious, like, she was like, no, like just take the wig off. Like you should just do your natural hair. And I'm like, but I don't even know what to do. And she just got her makeup finished and she was like doing her little hairstyle and she's like, wait a second. So she took my hair out of the twist because I put my hair originally in twist so I could make it fit under the wig. And the wig, now thinking about it, it was way too small because I got a big head. It didn't fit.
Big head problems.
That part. So she was the one that like styled it. She undid all the twists and everything like that. And she like styled it and she did her little things in my hair and whatever. And then she started actually, I think this was one of the parts I remember from the wedding day that I was like, well, I'm not going to cry about it now.
Oh, God.
In my car. It was really sweet, though. But she started taking pins out of her own hair and her style that she did. And she was like, wait. So she was putting whatever she was putting in her hair, she put it into my hair. And she, like, styled it. And she's like, why don't you go look at it now? And I remember I started tearing up, like, that day when I saw it. Because I'm like, oh, my goodness, I look so much better. But I was like, dang, she took some of her hair stuff that I know she bought for herself so she could walk down the aisle to put it in mine. That's so sweet.
Wow, I didn't remember that.
Yeah.
Wow.
I yeah.
Remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Wow. So how did you feel when you saw your hair? Did you feel like it looked better than the wig?
It did. I definitely felt like it looked better. And a part of me too was like, why did you feel like you had to put on something that was never yours in the first place to feel beautiful?
Preach! Preach, Jesus! I feel the Holy Spirit in the room.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, that's a word. That is, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like that whole don't bring your natural hair to my events type of thing. Like, that's, I know that's a video for another day, but like, that's the vibe that I feel like we sometimes have when it comes to wigs, when it comes to our natural hair.
Yeah.
Like when it's a nice event. And I got from so many different people when I was getting ready for the wedding or when I was planning the wedding and people were asking me, oh, what are you going to do with your hair? What are you going to do with your hair? And at that time I had just done my mystic braids. I have a video on that one. And I like the mystic braids. I felt like they look like almost like curly dreads. And I was like, I'm going to do this. And I just put this style in. You think I'm going to like do extra manipulation for a wedding? No. These bad boys are staying in. And I remember people sending me all these photos of women who had all these different wigs, and it's funny because they were all African, and it wasn't that the wigs looked bad. These styles looked good. They were all like different types of updos done on lace wigs. Yep. But my issue is if it was you just wanted an updo, like you could have done that on your natural hair, or you could have done that on hair extensions that looked more like natural hair, but you're wearing something that looks like straight European hair and you're saying like it's your wedding, you have to look like this. Like it doesn't feel right in my spirit. Like
it's the westernizing of, you know, just that look, because like you said, I've seen a lot of those videos where it can be the traditional weddings, or even if it's like the American wedding that's done after the traditional. A lot of the women, they have these wigs, they'll have them done basically where it's like an updo, and then you'll watch the videos and the hairstylist just plops a thing on the girl's head and glues it down and that's it. And it's like this tucked back, like curls in the back or whatever. It's always the same look, and it's very rare that we see people that look like us on their wedding day with their natural hair out. It's always like it has to be like this slicked down, like, or just straight, you know, because it's almost as if like that's the norm. Yeah. So we have to make ourselves fit into that norm, but it's like we don't have to, you know. So especially like you said, you're getting pictures of like different styles of what to do. That's because that was the norm that was set, and now people think this is what I have to go into. So even like the whole like, oh, you can't wear whatever hairstyle to my event bit. It's because of that constant mindset of thinking like, this is what I have to wear. the whole time you were talking, I genuinely was reminded of David and Goliath, right? And David, when it's time for him to prepare for this battle of Goliath, what happens? He's being given the armor that wasn't meant for him. It wasn't fit for him. And he was being told, like, you have to put on this armor. That's all, like, here, take this in the battle. And it's falling off. It doesn't fit.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's what he had and what he knew, that belief that God was going to get him through that, like was going to be there for him to protect him through the battle because of how he's built up his trust with God and how God has prepared him for that moment that helped him win that battle. It was the faith that did it. And all he needed was the rock and the slingshot. And not to say like we're in a battle with our hair, but sometimes it kind of feels like we're in a battle with what we see in the world and a battle of like who we really are. So when you're talking, like I just kept seeing that narrative of like, oh my goodness, like we're always like seeing pictures or videos or hearing things about this is how we should present ourselves. We have to look like this specific picture because that's how you should wear your hair at an event. That's how you should fit into what society is telling you to fit in.
Yeah.
So you're not going to see a lot of girls that look like us with our hair the way that they are, even on a wedding day.
Yeah. But it's just so crazy because
Mm-hmm.
I had, what we call the white wedding, the American wedding, and then I had my Ghanaian ceremony.
Yeah.
And it was very important to me to try to represent my culture, my heritage in the Ghanaian ceremony. So I'm doing everything African. We've got the African dancers. We're doing the Aduwa dance. Like we're getting the handmade kente cloth straight from Ghana. Like everything is from Ghana.
Yeah.
And then we get to the hair and it's like, Precious, you need to do this white hairstyle. It's like, huh? Everything else is all like
authentic.
Yeah, like pro Africa, pro Ghana. And when it comes to the hair, I'm hearing like, do these hairstyles that look more like this. And I mean, I don't blame people because it's so pervasive. Even in Africa, these ideals, these looks are so pervasive, but it's like, I think that our hair is so unique.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful. Braids is a black hairstyle.
Style,
like you can dress up braids. I wrapped the gold around it. I thought it looked great.
It looked beautiful.
Thank you. But I'm so happy that I didn't. I remember feeling the pressure of like, oh man, everyone's saying that I should wear these hairstyles. Maybe I should. Maybe the mystic braids really aren't going to look nice. And I'm so glad that I said no to that. And then everyone was like, oh wow, your hair looks so good. And I was like, I knew it was going to work good. Like, I know. Thank you. Right again. Speaking of, or building off of what you just mentioned about God, I have not shied away from the fact that I'm a Christian. That is something that is important to me. And I think that is that is something that has played a large role in my natural hair journey. So to you, another fellow Christian, my question would be, what, if any, impact has your faith had on your natural hair journey? Whether that is how you view your hair, how you treat your hair, how you've been able to continue to work through this.
Honestly, more than anything, it's shown me that I don't have to. I don't want to say this. It showed me that I don't have to fit in with the rest of the world. Because I know, like, we started this conversation talking about, like, what it was like growing up, where we lived and the hair and what we saw and what we didn't see. And when it's as if your mind is trained, it's like your mind is trained into a specific way of viewing things. It's to a point of, am I viewing myself the way that I'm viewing myself because of the world, the way the world sees me, or the way that I've made myself out to be against the world, or with it, within the world?
Yeah.
Or am I seeing myself the way that God designed me to be? Like, can I really take God's word seriously when he says, I believe it's Psalms 139, where he speaks about knitting us together in our mother's womb, right? And knowing how many hairs are on our heads, like that goes to show how intentional he was in creating us in that secret place. So who am I to go on Amazon or go on some random website looking for a wig of something synthetic, something man-made, that's made to look like I have to fit in with this side of the world, or even spend hundreds of dollars on someone else's hair, something that was on them that they decided to cut off to make this wig, to make a profit off of it, just for me to put it on my head, to think that now I need to fit into that mold, when he's already counted the amount of hairs in my head. He's the one that's 4C, bam, you're gonna be 4C. If that's what was put together in mom's womb, if that's how he's designed me to be, who am I to say that that's not good?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's been a lot of learning to look at myself in the mirror and be like, you know what, you look beautiful today. Even on the days you don't feel like it, especially when the world's full of social media where we're always on our phones. Like, I feel bad for this generation today, because for growing up for us, like, social media, I mean, we were just starting to see it towards the end of like our teenage years.
Yep.
And a lot of what we do would be in the magazines. How many times would we really get magazines in the house like that?
Yeah.
It's only if you're going to the grocery store. So we weren't always surrounded, at least constantly, to a point where it's in your hands. You're seeing other people, what they look like, or they're doing these For You pages where they're like doing stuff with their hair, or they're making it seem like everything is so butterflies and rainbows. Like, and this is what I do with my hair. And you see these people with this long, and not to say that the hair that's not 4C or, not of the African American, hair, not to say it's not beautiful, because I think all hair is beautiful. But when we're growing up, the way we grew up, where it wasn't diverse, and there's not a lot of people that look like you, and you think that you have to fit in with what you're seeing, at that age, that's all we knew.
Yeah.
And then today you have people who are constantly glued to their phones, and they're being shown, this is this norm, this is the whatever, this is how you should look, this is how this person looks, here is a brand that you should follow. These are all these things. It's so much stimulation, and you get lost in it. And especially when you don't have the chance to develop that relationship with God, to understand who are you, who is it that he's created you to be, and really learning your identity in him, you'll find yourself so lost in trying to chase an identity in the world that was never meant for you. So something that in other people's eyes are gonna be like, it's just hair. Like seems like it's so minuscule, like it's so small in comparison of who someone is. But even something as simple as your hair, to not even look at that on your body and say, God, thank you for the hair that you've placed on my head. Thank you for being intentional, for not only knowing the amount of hairs in my head, but for knitting me together. Like, I think about the process of knitting. Like, I look at people, I'm like, I don't know how you do it, because that's like hours and hours and hours of just putting something together.
Yeah.
And he did that with us. Like, he was so intentional with the details to knit us together, from the hair follicles all the way down to our pinky toes. Like, he did all of that. So it's like, once you know that, and then you really are on that walk with him, and you learn more of who you are, and you see just how intentional he is with how he was and how he still is with your development. Like, it's just so dope. And I think that's really, like, even the beginning of time in the Genesis, like, it's in the Amplified where it breaks it down, when he says, let us make mankind in the likeness of our image. It breaks it down to say us as in Father, Son, Holy Spirit, and it shows you, what he means by that, by the moral character, or just the spiritual side, like that, it's just that intentional, where he's calling upon all of who he is, all of his entirety, to say, for man, we are coming together to make mankind in the likeness of our Father, Son, Spirit image. So for me, I'm like, that's so intentional. And that's so dope to see that spiritual side, to see the flesh side, to see who God is and that character, that he would do that for us.
Yeah.
And when people, like, if you don't know that, and you're trying to chase this identity of who am I, which I see it a lot today in the world, especially with this generation, because again, everything, social media, all these different things, like, people, they're not really having the chance to be exposed to having that walk with him. So there's a lot of this identity, of like, who am I? When it comes to the hair, just like I said, waking up in the morning, being able to be like, I'm beautiful today. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. You know, I wasn't it together in mom's womb. That was the secret place. And you know what? Thank you, God, for doing that. Like, my hair is beautiful. I can learn how to be more patient to take care of it better. And if it's something as simple as, let me cut out the time to do it, then I'll do it. But you know what? Let me start to embrace who it is that you've put together.
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree more. I think that was a lovely sermon. Free of charge. No worries. That's what we're here for.
Gotta do it on the Lord's Day.
But yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. And I think a lot of what you've mentioned is similar for me. I feel like the identity piece of it is is what really helps me. I guess it really serves as like the backbone of my natural hair journey. But what I like the most about it is when I'm able to view it through that lens for my hair, it makes it easier to translate to other places in my life. Like what you said about how we don't have to fit into what the world thinks. That doesn't just apply to hair. That applies to how you act, like your day to day. How am I going to be? What am my thoughts going to be? Because there are things that I will do, things that I will think, because I'm looking at it through the lens of I'm a Christian. I'm trying to live this Christian walk. And to most people on the outside, they're like, that's weird. Like, why do you think that way? Why do you do that? Why can't you like loosen up? Like, it's not that big of a deal. But when I think about the fact that everything that you just said, my identity is not in this world first. My identity is as a child of God first. That extends from my hair to my behavior to whether or not I allow myself to engage with certain things. And that has been helpful for me with navigating all aspects of my life. Not to say that I don't fall at times, not to say that I am perfect, because that is not true, but it is helpful. And I think for me, starting with my hair was something that really opened the gate for me to be able to not easily, but more easily apply that to other aspects of my life. So I guess my last question for you, since I think we've now been talking for over an hour, and I feel like Tim is probably hostage somewhere in the house trying to figure out when he can come back upstairs. Looking back on how we grew up, your relationship that you had with your hair growing up, everything that you went through, and I guess it's kind of a two-part question. If you were able to speak to your younger self, what would you tell that younger Patience about her hair?
Oh, dang. Oh, man, that's tough.
That's what I'm here for, the hard-hitting questions, you know?
Jeez. Yes, of course.
Just trying to be a YouTube Oprah real quick.
Oh, my goodness. All right, journalist. Oh, man, I feel like I would tell younger patients to not focus on what I see. Because I think about the, you know, from the beginning of time, like for us at least, when we're getting our hair permed and we're seeing pictures of girls, at least that look like us, on a box. And our end goal at that time was to look like them, to feel some sort of, you know, I made it to the finish line. This is my gratification, is knowing that, bam, I'm gonna look like this. And in order for me to like look like the other people that I'm around, I have to go through this. But at least there's someone that I see who went through the process on this box. And then now, like, thinking about, like, that's how it was growing up, to then putting the tracks in my hair, gluing it, you know, just to rip my own hair out, just to end up cutting the hair off. Like, I stop and I think about, wow, the identity, you know, searching then, because if it's like I'm spending my whole childhood trying to chase that little girl that was on the box that had the straight hair all the time, that's what I was trying to do, is to have that straight hair at whatever means, you know. So I would just say to not focus on what you're seeing. It's like that saying, the grass isn't greener on the other side, or isn't, you know, because sometimes you think, okay, life will be easier if my hair is just straighter. If it's just straight, that's it. Like the other kids I see, they don't have to like go through that much. They can just wake up in the morning and just go. You know, so it'll be easier that way. But then you think about it, like the things we had to go through just to get to that point, you know, looking back on it now as an adult, I'm like, I would rather wish I had my hair out, you know, more, and learning at that time how to grow that love for it. But at the same time, like, things happen, you know, time has passed, so you can't go back. But I guess that's what I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, that was great. So I hope you guys enjoyed this conversation. I liked it, but I made it, so I'm biased. Take whatever you can from that. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the conversation. And if you want to check out other conversations from Coily Diaries or the Vaughn sisters, I'll make sure to link those videos. Make sure to check those out as well. And yeah, until next time, guys, take care of yourself.
What she said.